Hi, how are you? OK, croeso I Symfagan i'r gynhadledd i'r wasg ar gyfer y ddwy gêm yn erbyn Gwlad yr Ia Montenegro. Welcome to Symfagans again for the press conference ahead of the two matches against Iceland and Montenegro. Same as usual, do the press conference here, about 15-20 minutes. Then we'll do the one-to-ones and then the sit-down with the written press. OK, who wants to go first with Craig? Rob Phillips. OK, Rob, thank you.
Morning, Craig. How are you?
Morning. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Obviously eye-catching that Joe Allen has come out of retirement. What's behind that for you, and what does he bring to the squad?
He's fit. I spoke to him when I first came into the role. He's a player I was fortunate to play with as well. Admired him. He's an exceptional footballer. Still has a lot to give. I believe the way we play, the way we look to do things really suits him. And for me, it was if he's fit and he's available and he's willing to be part of Wales, it's a no-brainer for me, really. So I would have probably put him in the first squads, but he wasn't fit at that time. And just his brain, his experience, he's a high-quality footballer. I know people will maybe look at age. It's never a problem to me. And I just appreciate the skills he has and what he's going to be able to bring.
Did the injury absentees
No.
of Aaron Ramsey and Ethan Ampadu have any influence on your decision at all?
No, none.
Because you're losing 140 caps, but you're bringing back 74. Do you see what I mean?
No, I don't. I would have brought him in. He was a player. He's just high quality. And I honestly believe, just from my own experiences of playing, you have more to give. And the way he's looked after himself through his career. Now, of course, he's had one or two injuries of late over the last season. But I've watched him as well in training with Swansea. As a person, he's the type of he's the type of profile you'd want on a squad. Just by his leadership skills as well. He's been one of our, I've said about Aaron as well. I believe Joe's been one of our greatest players, and he still has football in him. I see it as common sense, really.
Last one on him. Do you expect him to be able to feature in both games, given that he hasn't started a game for Swansea yet this season?
We'll wait and see, Rob. We'll wait and see on that. It's very difficult for me to, we'll look at training. We'll look at the data that comes back. Speak to Swansea, of course, on it. See the situation, or his rehab work, what he needs to be doing, maintains with us. But it's important that we, by the time these games are finished, we send him back to Swansea in a really healthy position to be able to contribute for Swansea as well. So that's really important for us. And hopefully that'll be the case.
The other one coming back from after a long absence is Rhys Norrington-Davies, who's been through, let's face it, injury hell, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a difficult period with injuries. A player I really admired from afar as well. But yeah, he's just been unfortunate with injuries. But I'm really, I'm looking forward to being able to see him, being able to work with him. He's like I just said then, he's a player I've really liked from afar. Certain games is like just the intensity he's able to bring. Athletic. He's a really good profile. So I'm just fingers crossed, because as we talk now, there's games to be played in the week and obviously over the weekend, so we could be having a different conversation again by the weekend, like I found out last time. It's normal, but just fingers crossed, because I'm looking forward to getting to work with Rhys.
Still without Dan James, but Burns, Broadhead, Brooks, they add to your attacking resources, don't they? Yeah,
they do. They do. Different profiles, which we like. It's important for us to have different options. Brody, I've known quite well. I've worked with him at under-17s and under-19s for Wales in camps, so fully aware of his talent. And Wes is strong, quick, offers a different option to the attackers we have. And Brooks as well. Brooksy is a talent. The pocket positions I like. He plays on the half turn. I believe he really adds to what we're looking to do.
The last one from me, Brennan Johnson. You talked about him in the last camp, sang his praises. He's really delivering now for Tottenham. What can you do to get the best out of him for Wales?
I thought he was brilliant for us, especially the first game against Turkey. Keep doing what he's doing, and that's what he's done, because I am fully aware, even being in an attacking position myself, people see the end, the goals, the assists, that'll come if your work rate is working for the team and helping the team be better. And there was a couple of occasions at Turkey, his willingness to come back and work hard for the team, and his quality going forward, and it's just a matter of time before that ticks. So it's a matter of time before he does that for us. He's a hugely talented footballer, which we see. But what I love about Brennan, he has the habits of all real top-class players. The team comes first. He works for the team. He makes the team better by being there. And with that, the ability will take care of itself.
Get out.
Hey, Craig. Hope you're well. Just back to Joe Allen. Just picking up, obviously you would have liked, you thought about getting him into the first squad. You said had he been fit. Can you just give us an insight into sort of how you began the conversations with Joe? Because it seems like they were a long time ago, and when you were relatively new to the job, kind of when Joe came into your thinking about how he could help you and your squad, but also, Joe wanted to come back into out of international retirement.
Look, when you step into this role, you look at every player who's available, who can play for you. So I wasn't aware of Joe's conversations before. I know he stepped away, but I was very quick in my conversations with Joe. Was what's your feeling? How where do you see yourself at this present moment? Of course, he wanted to concentrate on Swansea, which is very important to him, but also to me as well. I like that from a player. But I, give him my version of where I see him for us, and I believe he'd be a big help to us. And he was just really positive from the start. It was just a moment of, he was carrying injury at that time. I was there monitoring the injury in conversations with him, and Luke as well, who's been really, has been a big help for me, just on a personal level, but also in football terms. So it was nice, when you always have that communication with the manager. He was keeping me updated on Joe's recovery, and it was, I said to him, look, see how these first two games go as well. Let us know what you think after it. And when I spoke to him, he was, let's go, I'm ready.
Do you think with your decision to talk with Joe and bring him back in? I'm not saying that these Nations League games aren't crucial. I know they are, but we're always with half an eye on March and the World Cup qualifying campaign. Are you looking long term with Joe? That you've had these conversations with him. Players these days can potentially play for a lot longer than maybe they were able to a decade and a half ago. So can Joe, is part of the planning, be part of the World Cup qualification, and if all goes to plan, all goes well, be at a World Cup with you? Are you looking that far with Joe, if it works out?
I obviously I have one eye on the future, but also very conscious of the present. It's important to identify the way we want to identify our team and how we want to I'm not going to use that word, sorry. I was going to use the word progress, but no. I just want us to create our identity. This is where I see us playing. Now, Joe, due to his experience as a player, but also his experience at the club and the profile of teams he's been at, but also the managers he's worked for, will help us create our identity quicker. That's very much here and now. In the long run, I agree with you completely that players play longer now. They look after themselves in a completely different way. That gives them longevity. Hopefully be able to stay injury-free, because that's a crucial part of football as well. But also the way I see him playing and the way we set up, I see him in a perfect role for him. He's a clever player. His IQ, football intelligence is ridiculously high. And that alone will be a lot for us.
Just if you can, update us on the injuries of two of your really senior group of players. Aaron, it seems like another setback. So I suppose the question with Aaron is, yes, he knows he's so experienced, but I suppose just how is he mentally with the conversations that you've had, where he just looked, he had a great pre-season, beg your pardon. He looked good in the games, your first two games as well, and then the news through that Ethan's out till January as well, I suppose, is how are they with such big setbacks, and what are the implications for you beyond this set of Nations League games? I
speak to Aaron quite a lot. I try and involve him a lot in tactically what we look to do. He comes down to Dragon Park as well to come and see me quite a bit. So we go through certain stuff. I definitely have a very good relationship with Aaron. I think that's something, by knowing his father from the same area, I knew Aaron since he was 5, so I knew this kid was going to be a professional footballer at the age of 5, which is very rare, by the way. So it allows us to have that communication, a good communication level. Really disappointed for him that he picked up an injury, because especially the game against Turkey, the game he started, he was exceptional. He done everything we asked him to do, the role he played, the chances we created. If you look, come from Aaron. He's a clever footballer, like I said before it, and he showed that during the game. So of course, it's disappointing he can't be with us, but he ain't going to miss out on too much, because we'll keep him updated. I believe he might be with the camp as well during this period. So that's helpful, because it's another set of information we want to try and feed into over a 10-day period. 2 different games. So two different ways of going about it as well, 2 different ways of being able to defend 2 decent oppositions, even though we've played against Montenegro before, but it's a different challenge going into that. But Iceland, a completely different challenge again, so different ways to defend them, different ways to try and attack them. So there'll be another load. Hopefully, it all goes well, he'll be exposed to that. Ethan, it's tough, because Ethan is, do you know when you see good players, but actually when you get to work with them close, you realise how good they are. Ethan, I was sort of blown away with. This kid I seen at 14 years of age playing for Exeter, swapping pitches because that team was losing a different age group, then suddenly coming down, then they were winning, then it was good enough, then he went to the next to try and get them winning again. And then watching his career. But what I like with him is the person. He's a leader. So spoke to him Saturday evening. How was it? Had the scan, then found out about the scan on the Sunday. Spoke to him again, then spoke to him Monday. But when you speak to a young man who's so strong, and he's fine. He's like, no problem, it's a little bit of a setback, but I know how hard I have to work to make sure I hit the ground running for when I come back. And for us as a group, it gives opportunities again. now an area, we can't be reliant on one player, and we won't be reliant on one player. So it allows us to maybe be a little bit flexible on how we move, one or two things as well. But we're adapt, and that's what, surely being into coaching, and that's what it's about. You have to be flexible. We ask the players to be flexible, and this is the same as well. So, yeah, really disappointed that we don't have him because of the talent he is and also the character he is. But most important part is the human being side. And he's an impressive human being, and he'll come back and have a huge say for Leeds and have a huge say for us.
Last one from me about you. The first 2 games. Yes, you've had a camp and you've been in the job for several months, but it's difficult to...
Several.
Yeah.
It feels like
it's
several.
It's not that long, is it?
Yeah.
It's difficult to talk to you after a game because, the emotions of the first game, that second game was, well, if you ever play in conditions like that was just a crazy game. Yeah. I suppose just how do you feel it's gone for you? Because you are judged by games, results, that's what the public see, that's how we see you. How do you feel it's gone in terms of the implementation, on one hand, of the identity, the way you want to play, the high press, the energy, etc., feedback from the players? How did it go?
The 10 days, was it 10 or 9?
9 days.
Yeah, 9, yeah. It couldn't have gone any... I couldn't have enjoyed it any more. The players were exceptional, but also the amount of information they wanted, because I'm always conscious of the amount of information we give that players are able to, you don't want to overload too much. But when you speak to the players in general, they were like more, they needed more. They felt like, look, keep going. And that really gave us confidence as a coaching staff as well, like, let's go with this and let's keep doing the meetings, let's keep showing this, keep showing that. And the way they trained as well, it was just, look, I'm not going to lie to you that I thought the scenario against Turkey was going to turn out like that so quick. I was prepared for all scenarios. I was prepared for us not to be able to quite get the rotation and movement we needed, and also the part of what we hold really dear has to be our identity is without the ball. We have to look like a real good organisation without the ball, that we're setting traps ready to spring off them. And that was probably the most impressive side of it, the intensity we were able to bring. Yeah, look, it's new to me as well, because obviously I was conscious of everyone in this room telling me, everyone probably from the outside telling me, you only have 3 odds so many days with them. Surely it's not going to be, it takes, so like I hear people saying, they're 3-4 weeks in a job is going to take this amount of months, and, before, but I've never really felt it was that way. I feel footballers are really, really intelligent, are really clever players. They understand information. They can take more than what sometimes you're willing to give. Willing to give, but that you can give. They can just take more information on because they're the ones playing. They're the ones who feel it. They have that smell for the game. And if you can show a reason why, because there has to be a why in everything you do. This is why we do this. This is why. And they start to feel that and they start to see it for themselves. Then they go with it even more. And yeah, so if I'm looking at those round of games, that was probably the most pleasing aspect of it all. How they were able to take on information, but also how they were able to carry that out into the games. And of course, the Montenegro game turned out a little bit different due to the circumstances. But that was another part of me where I was able to come away of looking at a group going, this is a good group. It's a good group. When you need to fight, roll your sleeves up. Then I sat back and I was like, it's no coincidence this group of players have qualified for major tournaments before. They teach you, not the other way around. So I think we was probably 50-50. I taught them and they taught me a lot after that as well. And then come towards the end of it was the devastation part for me, where it was like, well, what do I do now for a couple of days? Like, you guys get to go. What am I going to do? And that was excitement towards the last game, but also the realization that this was, you're leaving me, was, yeah, that was different. But I've got to be honest, so looking forward to this camp now, but the last camp was brilliant. It was really good.
Okay, we'll take questions from Lawrence and then we'll break out to the individuals. Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that, Craig, how you felt afterwards. It must have been very strange for you to kind of go from that high to kind of almost silence, I suppose.
Lost. Going for walks around parks, feeding ducks. Yeah, but you do need your downtime as well. I was conscious of that. I was enough people told me to take a few days off after this now. And then really, because of the turnaround as well, we were quite back into it quite quick. So the last number of weeks have been busy, which is great. But I definitely, I think the intensity of starting 8 in the morning, finishing 11 at night, the analysis guys, we were concerned for at a certain period because they were getting no sleep whatsoever, because the incredible work they were able to do. But also, during a camp as well, which, like, leading on to Geraint's sort of question as well, you get to find out the people who have been here, and some of the new people who've come in, staff-wise, and it was just, the blend was great. The blend was positive. It was energetic as well, which I need. That really, do you know, you see it, and every morning you can't wait to get up because you want to go again, and probably you work so late because you don't want to go to bed because you want to keep going. That was, then you know this is what you want to be doing. But conscious of that, then after that, when that finishes, you need to take a few days to be able to reflect, have a look at scenarios you could do better, or maybe that went really well, and then be able to tick that off to go into the next one.
Just on a couple of the players there, the goalkeepers you switched in and out between the two. On reflection, are you going to sort of pump on a number one? Have you got that in your mind, or are you going to carry on with the sort of selecting two?
I'm flexible. So I don't. I believe playing Friday and Mondays is a tough period for how we are at this present moment and the intensity we want to create. Some players will be able to do both, some players won't. And for me, it's, you have a good player and they've been training well and they deserve the opportunity, they get the opportunity, and it's not a reflection on the person who played before that. It's, I always believe, like, if you call players in, you have to have full trust in being able to use them, otherwise what's the point in calling them in? And when you're in a national team, in a national setup, you have a good group of players. That's why you're calling them in. So for me, I know it might have come a little bit of a shock that I changed a lot of players, but to me it was just complete common sense. So don't be surprised.
I'll bear that in mind. Ollie Cooper, he seems to have gone to another level since you sort of brought him in against Montenegro. The last few weeks for Swansea, the games I've seen, has been absolutely terrific.
Yeah.
Where do you see him? Can he fit into that central midfield role that Ethan's not available for?
Well, I seen him. I seen you. You said I play 4-2-3-1. Yeah, no, I didn't. No.
In and out of possession is very good.
In different stages of the pitch as well. I don't even know why I play.
Isn't it shapes?
Yeah, it's shapes. Don't. Yeah, no. There's different roles he can play. There's different roles he can play in the pockets. He can play as a double six. You can use him in different areas, and that's what I like with Ollie. He's like, you hear me talk about profile of a player as well. I like players who are adaptable, who are able to move into different positions. And take up different shapes as well and be flexible for that. Ollie's definitely that. And he's a player who's just growing. He's grown within himself as well. He's gaining more confidence. which I watching him at Swansea, you can see. And I still believe there's more to come. I believe there's, like you would have seen now, and Swansea would have known for a long, long time, an outstanding footballer. But a player starting to come into his own as well, you can see it. He's really having an effect on games. And hopefully long may that continue.
And then just finally for me, one name that's sort of not on there is Tom Lawrence, and a lot of talk of his performances for Rangers. What's your sort of thinking in him not making the squad?
It's just the number of squad. I have a certain amount of numbers I can go to. Would I name the whole of Wales? Yes, I would. Whoever's given me the choice. But we just have players at this present moment that I picked. But like I said last time as well, when we spoke, there's a lot going to happen between now and then when we first meet up with a squad. So, one or two positions or one or two areas could change. Tom's definitely a player I really like. But at this present moment, there's one or two players I've put in position instead.
Okay, thank you, Joe. We'll break out and then we'll come back here for the written press. Diolch yn fawr, thank you. Thanks, Craig.
Cheers.